네, 안녕하십니까. 디지털화와 HR 트렌드 세션에 오신 여러분을 환영합니다. 저는 좌장을 맡은 LG경제연구원 책임연구원 원지연입니다. 이 포럼에 사전에 굉장히 많은 분께서 신청해 주셨다고 들었는데요. 많은 이 세션 마지막까지도 이렇게 자리에 지켜주셔서 정말 감사드립니다. 지금부터 본격적으로 세션을 시작해 보도록 하겠습니다. 빅데이터와 클라우드 그리고 인공지능 기술의 발달은 우리의 구직 활동과 그리고 기업의 HR 활동에 많은 변화를 일으키고 있습니다. 기업에서 사람에 대한 의사결정은 과거에는 다소 좀 직관에 의해서 아니면 관행적으로 이루어지던 부분이 있었는데요. 최근에 그 언급드린 기술들로 인해서 큰 변화가 일어나서 좀 더 과학적이고 객관적인 의사결정에 도움을 주고 있는 것 같습니다. 그래서 오늘 이 세션의 제목에서도 알 수 있듯이 디지털화가 HR에서 가장 큰 화두이자 또 트렌드인 것 같습니다. 제가 LG경제연구원에서 이 HR 애널리틱스 그리고 데이터 기반의 HR에 대해서 연구한 지 한 7년째가 되었는데 실제로 국내 많은 기업들에서도 이제는 단순한 관심을 넘어서 실제로 이 디지털 기술을 HR에 많이 적용하고 있는 것을 현장에서 볼 수 있었습니다. 인재 채용 같은 경우에도 과거에는 이제 떠 있는 공고에 구직자가 이제 지원을 하고 이 사람들 중에서 뽑는 형태로 이루어져 왔다면 최근에는 본인이 가지고 있는 역량과 이제 스킬을 기반으로 이에 맞는 기업들을 서로 매칭해주는 그런 시스템이 늘어나고 있고요. 또 과거에는 HR 시스템이 기업 인사 담당자 위주로 이렇게 설계가 되었다면 이제는 소위 말하는 인플로이 익스피리언스라고 하는 구성원 경험이 좀 중시되면서 실시간으로 많은 이제 구성원들이 참여할 수 있는 HR 시스템으로 좀 진화를 하고 있는 것 같습니다. 여기 이제 오늘 계신 분들이 이 HR 트렌드에 대해서 가장 잘 말씀해 주실 수 있는 연사들이 오신 것 같은데요. 일단 6억 명의 가입자를 보유한 비즈니스 소셜 네트워크 서비스인 링크드인 많은 분들이 이용하고 계실 것 같습니다. 그리고 클라우드 기반의 HR 플랫폼을 제공하는 포브스에서 뽑은 혁신적인 기업 워크데이, 그리고 300만 명이 이용하는 명함 관리 어플리케이션이자 최근 종합 비즈니스 플랫폼으로 도약하고 있는 리멤버의 연사님들을 모셨습니다. 먼저 링크드인의 프랭크 쿠님에 대해서 소개드리도록 하겠습니다. 프랭크 쿠는 아시아 지역 총괄 책임자이자 탤런트 앤 러닝 솔루션 사업을 담당하고 계십니다. 링크드인에 합류하기 전 B 에듀케이션의 CEO, 피어스 에듀케이션 아태 지역 러닝 솔루션 대표를 역임하셨고 오라클에서도 근무하신 적이 있습니다. 박수로 환영 부탁드립니다. 네, 다음은 워크데이의 케빈 춘입니다. 케빈 춘은 워크데이 북아시아를 담당하는 디렉터로 기술과 영업 전략 부문을 맡고 계십니다. 호주 출생으로 다양한 문화를 경험하고 기술 분야, 금융 분야, HR 영역에 풍부한 경험을 갖고 계십니다. 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다. 네. 마지막으로 드라마앤컴퍼니의 최재호 대표님이십니다. 최재호 대표님은 2013년 드라마앤컴퍼니를 창업한 대한민국 대표 IT 기업가시고 2014년 리멤버 서비스를 런칭하셨습니다. 창업 이전 딜로이트와 BCG에서 컨설턴트로 근무하셨고 2015년에는 포브스 코리아가 선정한 2030 파워 리더로 선정된 바도 있습니다. 박수로 맞아주시기 바랍니다. 그럼 이번 세션은 연사분들께서 각 20분씩 발표를 해주시고 나머지 25분 동안은 청중 여러분이 올려주신 질문을 바탕으로 토론 및 질의응답 시간을 갖도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 제공되는 모바일 플랫폼을 통해서 그 세션을 들으시면서 계속 질문을 많이 해주시기 바랍니다. 네, 그럼 먼저 링크드인 프랭크님의 디지털라이제이션 오브 HR이라는 주제로 한번 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 박수로 맞아주십시오.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. I was telling my colleagues here that only in Korea do I see so many of our conference participants stay behind at this time of the day. So I just want to thank you for really paying so much attention and having the patience to wait for this session. And I hope we won't disappoint you. So the topic I have today is really about digitalization of HR. So I think many of you are in either government or education or a HR field. And You know that nowadays, the employment landscape is changing. Right? With information availability, many of us as professionals, as academics, we can actually know what are the jobs available. Right? And companies can be able to have a search for the best talents, as Ms. Wong has said, through the internet. At the same time, the shelf life of skills has also been reduced. Right? What we learn today may be obsolete in 5 years' time, maybe 6, 7 years' time, hopefully longer. But skills keeps changing, and therefore lifelong learning is no more a choice but a necessity. And at the same time, employees are becoming the number one priority or the top priority in many organizations. Well, in the past, many organizations, leaders can say, people can come and go, but my business still goes on. But nowadays, it's very difficult. Many of our colleagues, our professionals, want to work in companies that they feel happy working for, where they can fulfill the life, passion, and interest in the work they do. And therefore, it's important for companies to make sure they build an environment to support happy employees and therefore more engaged employees. And if you look at all these requirements by both people or workers as well as companies, whose responsibility it is? HR? Not necessary. Everyone has a responsibility in the company to look after our employees. But HR becomes the driver of some of these initiatives. And that's why I believe we are here to understand how we can support organization development with digitalization in the HR area. And if you look at the key priorities of some of the CEOs, right, they're asking questions like, do we have the right practice and systems to help our employees develop themselves? Are we able to bring in the best talents? And talents nowadays is different because the skills that we have in our company today may not necessarily be the skills that we need for the company tomorrow. And that's why when companies look for talent, they're also looking ahead to see what sort of skills we need in the company in 3 years' time, 5 years' time, what sort of talents we need in a company in 3 years' time, 5 years' time to transform our business. Otherwise, our business can be disrupted. And importantly, CEOs are asking, do we have the right people in HR to do the job that we need to do? So there's a lot of pressure and focus from HR, and therefore, the role of human resource has moved from just keeping the lights on, making sure that people are able to fill in the leave form digitally, not on paper. I know some of you still do that on paper, and also have expense claim being paid, payroll being done, and they move from just talent management to what we call ensuring people success. Now, we know in Asia, from different surveys, that employee engagement in many companies are at all-time low, right? Depending on which country you are from, you can range from between 20% to maybe a higher 30%, right? But whatever percentage you see, let's say a 30% employee engagement. What it means is that 2/3 of our people in an organization are not feeling that they are happy in doing the work. And that's why the key question to HR is, how do we make people feel happy coming to work? How do we get people to bring the whole self to work? And how do we support them to do their work well? And this is what, as Ms. Wong has tried, the focus on giving the best employee experience to ensure that we raise the engagement. And when engagement is raised, the productivity of the company, of the country, will grow up. And this is the important role of HR, to see how we can actually support employees to be better employees, to serve the customer, the company as well as be happy working. So within the HR field, when we talk about digitalization, there are three key areas that we are reinventing. The first one is really about recruiting. So I think many of you are already on LinkedIn. Some of you know about Remember, the platform that allows you to actually match, to connect. So what we do is nowadays, companies are using social media platforms and recruitment platforms to look out for people. There is gone are the days where company, when they have a role, they would write a job description, post it even online in the internet, and expect people to apply. In fact, nowadays, with fast-changing technology and digital transformation, some of us may not even know how to write a job description. So, therefore, a lot of companies are using a different method. Essentially, instead of having people apply for your role, you actually look out for people who will be interested in joining the company and bring them in. This is what we call reinventing recruiting. Another part is really reinventing learning. Now, gone are the days where if we want to learn something as employees, we go to the HR department, and HR department says, well, no problem. Wait for 3 months. I will organize a 5-day training for you so that you can learn. Now, with digitalization and the speed of transformation, if this happens, within 3 months, your need to learn will go down because you will need to learn something else. Or by that time, you may be fired because you can't do your job now. So learning in the company has also been reinvented, and the digitalization has supported learning to enable people to learn anytime, anywhere, any place, and I'll share more. The third area is really in the area of retention, right? Can I know, I'm trying this, it's a bit risky, but can I know by the show of hands, how many of you in your company has employee survey? Good. Hands up, please. How many of you have employee survey more than once every 2 years? How many of you have employee survey more than once a year? More than once a year. That means in 1 year, you have more than one employee survey done. How many of you have employee survey more than twice a year? Okay. And some of you don't have employee survey, right? But when you look at, when you say you want to give employees a good experience, increase engagement, we need to understand what they need. So to do this effectively, we need to make sure that we have consistent employee surveys, let's say once every 3 months. Because we realize that a lot of times our sentiments goes up and down in the year, right? And a lot of times it's event-driven. Let's say, for instance, if a new manager arrives, the results will go down or go up, depends, right? And then there's acquisition of a company, it will change. And then there's a new process taking place, it may change. Right? So as leaders, there's a need for us to consistently understand employees' feedback and happiness so that we can take action on them. So a once in every 2 years, once a year survey is outdated. But the challenge is, how do we do that so frequently and have allow managers to take effective action? This is where technology and digitalization can help. And I'll go into a little more detail later on. And so all these areas are what HR is looking at in terms of enabling, using digital technology to transform themselves as the companies they work for transform their business over the long run to continue to be effective. And so when you look at digitalization of HR, I would like to just have 3 categories, right? First of all is plan. Using digital technology to predict, to understand the the trends and to predict the trends. For instance, using digital technology and analytics, you can predict how many of the, what's the percentage of people in any department that is going to leave the company in 1 year's time. It's possible now, right? So this will help workforce planning for the company. The second is really about hire. How do you use digital technology to be able to know who are the people that you like to bring in, what sort of skills you want to bring in, and where they are from, or which company they are from. The third area is in the area of develop. How do we understand the employees well in order to help them to grow and develop the skills over the long term? Now, first of all, to talk a bit more about the planning. So in terms of planning, as I've shared, now there's a lot of platforms. I mean, LinkedIn is one of them, but there are many platforms that provides data, right, to help you understand what are the skills that your competitors have in their organization so that you can plan for what skills you need in your organization. We also can predict what sort of people are leaving the company because we can look at past trends. We can look at trends across the industry to give you an understanding so that you can take action to support some of these people who may not be feeling very engaged in the company. And when let's say you want to look at workforce planning, you can actually do comparison across the whole world. Let's say, for instance, if you are in the electronics industry, you can actually compare the skills that are coming into electronic industries in Korea versus the skills that are coming into the electronic industries in China, or for that matter, in Europe or the US. So because of such digital technology that's available today, it's possible for us to do that. Now, what it means for the human resource organization is that in the past, a lot of us become part of the human resource company because we love people, right? And a lot of times we depend on our intuition to make decisions, which is good. But if you go to a CFO and say that we need to hire 100 people of a particular skills, and the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer, asks you, why? You cannot say, I think, I feel that we should. You must come up with data to support the arguments. And now, for the very first time, HR has the tools to support them in the decision because of big data analytics. The second thing is hire. Now, hiring the best people does not start with having a job, right? Either on the, let's say, you post it on newspaper or online. It has to start well before that. First of all, people whom are interested to attract to the company must know what your company stands for. They must know when they work in your company, what is the feeling going to be like? Will they be happy working in your company? Is this something that they look forward to do? Especially for young people, they are looking to fulfill the life purpose in the work that they do. So what we need to do is to use technology to enable employer branding. Now, this example of some employees posting, what they do in the company on LinkedIn to inform potential candidates who are coming to the company next time on how good the company is and what they do in the company. So it starts with employer branding, build a strong brand in the market so that people will know you. Of course, it's easier for chaebols in Korea to attract people. But what about the small and medium enterprises? How do they make sure that they attract the right people? Right? So therefore, employer branding is going to be key, and digitalization is helping in terms of very quickly to serve content on the social media platform like LinkedIn to address the right type of people who want to join your company. And then once you do that, you would have data on the people. Let's say this is example on what we support the clients for in LinkedIn. Let's say you have a job, and what happens if you have a job, you want to employ 3 people, right? And 500 people apply. If you're in HR, it's not a good thing. It's a headache, right? And how do you do that? So we use data, we use artificial intelligence to actually make recommendations on who are the people who are more likely to be successful in your company. So that when they join, number one, you don't have to spend too much time, sorting out people who may not want to join eventually. And you can also focus on the few key people who are more likely to be successful in the company that you join, and therefore, the chance of success is higher. The time you take to screen the employees is lower. And all this done, with technology to support your decision making. The next is develop. As I said, in order to make sure that we increase the employee engagement, provide good experience to employees, we need to understand what they need all the time. And now technology has been able to facilitate this. So for instance, instead of asking in your employee survey 30 questions, right? You can actually ask very simply, let's say 8 questions every quarter, right? And technology can facilitate the inputs and the comments. And once the comments is made, when I answer the survey today, the results can be out immediately. And this is how technology works. You don't have to wait for, 5 weeks for the consultants to do a report for you in a survey, another 2 months to see what action to be taken. By the time the report is out, the managers do not know what's happening. They can't take action. So now with technology, you can very quickly, within 1 week, you can have the survey done, the response tabulated, and action plan suggested. Comments classified into different areas, action plan suggested. So that, and we can also link the action plan for the managers to learning resources. So that if managers want to learn, for instance, how to do recognition for employees, or how to coach employees, there will be online learning that can facilitate them immediately, so that they can take action immediately. So this link will enable companies to be able to understand employees better and provide opportunities for them to develop further. And now, also learning is really about any time. If you want to know, let's say, how to do, you need to write a report, right, that requires Microsoft Excel. You need to know about pivot table. You cannot wait for 3 months to have a course to learn pivot table. You need to learn it now. So how do you do it? Go online. You learn, you get the report out, your manager is happy, you get a promotion. This is what online learning can do, right? And now we have bite-sized learning because all of us are busy. We want to learn in 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and this is something that's happening. But most importantly, we need to address the relevancy issue of learning, right? How do we know what you need to learn, right? Now, again, with technology, and in fact, for us in our platform, we know what sort of skills you have, who are you connected to, what work you do, and we will recommend courses for you to learn, so that what you learn will be relevant to your job. And this can't be done without the help of technology. Right? And eventually, companies need to build a culture of learning. Like we say, shelf life of the skills is very short. We need to learn all the time. And therefore, there's a need to develop the culture of learning in the organization so that companies can be successful in the long run. And so with this, I hope I shared with you some of the possibilities. Happy to take more questions. And I want to thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
네, 디지털 기술을 통한 채용과 학습의 변화에 대해서 말씀해 주신 것 같습니다. 네, 다음은 케빈 추님의 Supporting the Future of Work에 대해서 한번 들어보도록 하겠습니다. 네.
Hello. Hi. My name is Kevin. How are you all doing? So, in all these years of presenting, actually, I've never had the previous speaker point out 3 of the things that come out of the 4 presentation points that I have in my presentation. So, that's very, very good. Must have been a good presentation. So, I manage the North Asian business here at Workday. In my short few years at Workday, I've come across different countries, different types of companies, different geographies, and we've seen a few patterns when I've talked to customers that come up constantly. And we feel like that these are the things that we need to discuss with you all today. And I believe it's very valid for us to discuss that, especially at a place like Global HR Forum. So, whether it's a construction company in Singapore, whether it's an F&B company in Hong Kong, especially with the situation in Hong Kong right now, even an F&B company will strive to purchase something like an HR software to be able to pull out the smallest efficiencies in their company to continue to be afloat of all the situations. Or maybe it's a Korean conglomerate locally here. We've seen many, many people go on the journey of Workday to be able to talk about those three different trends that Frank was talking about before. So has anybody seen this before? We have, right? So I've seen many of these. There were many, many different pleasant surprises when dealing with these particular bots. I was at the airport in Korea, and they were especially smart. I don't know why. Maybe they were because made in Korea, right? Maybe they're Korean bots, especially smart. So I'm picking up something, I turn around, and I accidentally hit one of these bots. And the first thing it says is, how can I help you? So I'm looking at it, and I'm thinking, I'm a technology guy, so maybe I'll do something funny. So I changed my language, so I said, 我等下去哪里? Right, this is in Chinese. And it would respond in Chinese, and I was very surprised. I was like, oh, this person is way smarter than I am. So it was able to take me to my boarding gate. It was also able to help me take a selfie, which me and Frank were doing on stage, as you saw just now. And it brings me to think about all the different ways that are changing even the airport, or the way we log into a particular hotel and check in. I see these at hotels all the time. What are the different developments that are actually happening now? What about these? Has anybody seen these? So on the top right here, left, right. On the top right here is an Amazon Go shop. All right, these are highly efficient, no staff, no lineups. You go in, you do your shopping, and you come out. Right? I was in and out with a salad, a juice, and I came out to sit in my Uber and go back to the Workday office in 2 minutes. But at what cost, right? These are very, very innovative ideas. It brings me to think about you no longer line up with your family and you have the small talk about school. You don't talk to the shopkeeper about their kids that you saw last week at the park. Or when you're going to a coffee shop, you don't have that really big smile on the barista's face when you order your double whipped cream caramel latte, right? So at what cost? But there are the other two things that I visited last week, actually. There was a fruit shop on the top left and a coffee shop at the bottom left, which was amazing. You go in, in China, you basically don't see cash anymore. You go in, you have your digital wallet on your phone, and you're beeping away and you're buying food, and you sit down, I'm ready for my conference call. The thing is, I only had 5% left on my phone. How am I going to pay for my food? So I sat down and put my phone on the table, but apparently it was a wireless charging table. So I sat there, I was charging my phone, I could pay for my food, and I spent 2 hours at this coffee shop with no one else there except for myself on the phone. So these are the changes that we're seeing nowadays in our day-to-day lives. And consequently, I think Frank spoke about this, where all the skills and all the jobs that we're seeing today may no longer exist in the future. They say that by, I think it was 2022, 133 million new jobs will be created, unheard of jobs from before. The other thing very, very special about nowadays is we have 5 different generations of people working in the workforce. They all bring different experiences, and more importantly, they all bring different expectations of you guys, of your corporations, of your organizations. So what did I talk about that first 2 topics? Is there's this notion of the Industrial Revolution, right? Those first 2 stories contribute to this particular era, where we're talking about all the buzzwords in the market. There's blockchain, there is crypto, there is AI, there is cognitive, there's many, many things. And you can see all these changes creating some unease in the market where people are like, is there going to be technology unemployment? Is there, because there's this bot, am I going to be unemployed? Coincidentally, does anybody know, if you're a nerd like I am, that last week was actually the internet's 50th birthday? 50. So I see a lot of young people in the room too. Actually, 50 years ago, there was no internet. All right, you guys are all on your phones. You have to go to a library and you have to pick up a thing called an encyclopedia and to find out information. So this has happened quite often. It's happened probably 2 times in a very serious manner. The Industrial Revolution 1, Industrial Revolution 2, where we started to create machines. And we were scared that these machines would replace all of our jobs. Having said that, all the governments were really, really good at this. They would make policies. They would create investments to make sure that the human society flows with the new technologies that come in through the innovation that are happening right now. So what is the 5th one that we're talking about? The 5th one is by having all of this AI, by having all of this data that Frank was talking about, how do we use this intelligence in a very ethical way? So that when we're actually having that 500 candidates to come in, we're sorting things out in an ethical way. Yesterday, someone talked about how to be a leader in an authentic way, right? These are the things that we see as a pattern in the organizations and the market now. Next is we had a lot of consulting firms that have been doing exercises, researches, questionnaires, surveys, and things like that. There's multiple trends that are going on now. We've picked 4, 3 which Frank already picked, 4 which I feel like that we can discuss, the most impactful, and people in the room, the managers and the employees, can really strive to actually do something about. So these are the 4 things, because the companies are always chasing the industrial revolutions. They are the human experience, the mobility of the talent within your organization, how we learn, which is something that we heard multiple times today and yesterday, and there's this thing called the birth of the super jobs. What is a super job? So let's start off with the human experience, and we talked about this 2 or 3 times today. It's about the employee experience. What Workday kind of sees is we have to look further and beyond that. What does that work actually provide for the employee? Are we creating that work-life integration? More and more nowadays, the 9 to 5, or in Korea, 9 to 8 time day job doesn't exist anymore, right? The lines are fading away. But however, when we see this, we're seeing the people work harder. We're seeing the efficiencies go over the roof. I think it was Microsoft, they were on the newspaper a few days ago. They experimented in one country 4-day weeks. They've seen the company actually thrive over that. The sales went up, people were more engaged, people were more happy because they could spend time with their child at home. That's what's important. We also need to address this thing about whether or not your employee suits the job, or maybe you need to think about, does the job suit the employee? Because you have a job description, you have an employee, they might be very, very good at that particular job, that 10 tasks. But have you tapped into their full potential? Have you looked at all the adjacent skills that they have? Are you supposed to develop on those? So we've seen in the research that about 85% of all executives feel like that this is a specific issue in their company. But only about 10% is ready to address it. So how long is it going to take for that 9% to actually do something and for everybody else to catch up? Talent mobility. It's about I'll bring you back to the story of the shopkeeper or the owner of the coffee shop or the person that owns the now staffless coffee shop. Of course, you don't have to serve the customers now. But instead of, so you're moving the target of this particular person, instead of being inside the coffee shop, you design what the customer actually sees when they walk in, the flow of which they walk through your shop. How do they pay? What is their experience when they actually leave the shop? So instead of being and working inside the coffee shop now, a lot of these people have been reskilled and they've moved on to architecting the experience of the coffee shop, right? These are the changes that we're thinking that because of there's the Industrial Revolution, the people are moving away from the traditional skills, description, job, and actually doing things that are more innovative, newer styles, newer skills, newer jobs. A lot of companies say that, I think it's 76% of the companies say that they want this to happen. They want to be able to pivot from, say, a pre-sales job that I used to have at Workday and move into a managerial job, or from a pre-sales job to a marketing job. And Workday is very, very good at that. I've seen many, many people really enjoy their time at Workday because they're still in the same family, because we hired the right people onto the bus, and the way they want to go, they can choose themselves. Very, very important. It's hard because a lot of the managers are holding on to their people. About 50% of the people resist this type of change. About 50% of the employees feel like going outside of the organization is way easier than talking to the manager and asking them to go to another line of business. My employees in Hong Kong or in Korea, every time they talk about different types of things, I will recommend who to talk to. Maybe go talk to the sales leader. I've got one person on my team that is really, really good, and he feels like he wants to be a sales guy, right? It's his thinking, but I would put them on the path. I would put them on recommendations. I've given them different mentors so that they're thinking about how to get to their aspirations. The next one's learning, and I think Frank talked about this a lot. The thing about learning is being able to change the way people are learning. I think yesterday there was a person in the lifelong learning and edutech session, right? How do we think about that? I think for one of our customers called Amazon, right? They provide all of the tools, all of the material, all of the things that they think that the employees need, and they concentrate on creating that culture. They don't say that, oh, you guys need to be learning all the time. They create a culture of social learning. Maybe there are incentives to learning. Maybe there are gamifications to learning. So inside that particular company, when you do a specific set of courses, when you go to the cafeteria, you get a free coffee. Right? Those are the new style of thinking when we're talking about what learning is supposed to bring. The next part is super jobs. Now this is something that's really on my mind because of tripping over Airstar and actually thinking about how we improve and innovate because it's a technology thing. Most companies out there think that they're going to pick up, they're going to invest in AI, they're going to invest in cognitive things, they're going to invest in chatbots for servicing their customers, right? But these things never existed before. So what are these things called super jobs? These things called super jobs are when people have their own usual job description jobs, but they're picking up all these different new skills to help the company innovate. It gives the people a sense of purpose because you're no longer just in that particular role. So the future of work today looks very, very, very different from about 10 years ago. I think Frank also touched on this earlier. When we used to have a job that we needed to fill, we would post an ad. People would line up, they would come to the company, and they would sell you. They would tell you where they worked, what is their job experience, why are they very good at doing managerial jobs. Today is very, very different. We post a job, the person that we've looked at comes to the company, they ask you questions as a company. What do you do? What is your culture? Will I feel a sense of purpose if I worked at your company? And you would have to sell them. You would have to sell them about the company culture, how happy people are, the free ice cream that you have in the offices, right? Those are the things that are changing right now for the greater good. I think for the new generations that are coming in, those are the types of discussions that we need to have as employees, as employers, as managers. So being picked as the #1 for the Future 50 in the Fortune list has been a great, great feeling for us at Workday. There are a few things that we feel like that we should share with you guys. To create that human experience, you have to give them, first of all, access to the information, access to the tasks that they have to do, access to the tools that they need. More importantly, you need to give them a platform to communicate, to be able to talk. The surveys is one of them. A communication platform so that internally you can assign leaders, you can assign mentors so that they can teach them how to bring them onto the next stage of their aspirations and their careers. Being able to create these dynamic teams, because the company makes decisions weekly now. We make decisions on activities that we have to do. We need to be able to create these specific teams, be able to assign and do those particular projects and disband them quickly. All including with all the analytics that you actually need, all the P&Ls that go with the people, all their expenses, all the travel, all that. The whole experience needs to change. The next part is the talent mobility. In order to keep the people happy at your company, you have to give them the options to move around. No longer when you hire a particular person, they only have one career path. You have to give them multiple career paths. You have to dig into the big data and the history of your company, where a particular pre-sales person might have gone to a director of services, or they might have gone to the director of marketing. Give them multiple paths and show them in an opportunity graph within maybe your HCM system. Maybe your HR has to be able to have that conversation with this employee. It's about staying relevant and having the tailored learning, because you know this particular person wants to become a manager. So you can, using the system and the data that Frank's talked about, to be able to analyze where are the gaps, right? The system automatically gives you a path of learning so that the manager doesn't have to go and research that. The manager can go and monitor the progress and talk to them about their feeling about as they're progressing towards that managerial job. Does he feel like or not feel like that's the right way? And be able to guide these younger generation people in that company. Next is about that continuous learning. So we'll talk about the learning. I think Frank talked about the anytime, anywhere, any place. I guess for us, it would be for the any language, especially in Korea. They need to learn in local languages. Being able to use any type of device, or maybe social learning. I think a very important thing about this is maybe I have gone to, I believe, Frank, you've done a talk called the Pep Talk, right? An interview you did a little while ago. Maybe one of my employees have seen the Pep Talk from Frank Yu at LinkedIn, and they would be able to recommend that within your HR system to all of the colleagues that are related to this particular job role, right? So that social learning is there. Remember, that first part is the communication, and then that's connected also to the learning. How do you provide that social learning to the employees? Because this particular person has been at the company for 3 to 4 years, they need to make a move, or else you feel like that's a particular retention. So we're feeding him learning items so that it initiates thought in this particular person, so that they're thinking about that next title, next role, keeping them engaged and enthusiastic about what next at a company like Workday. Lastly, skills we spoke about many, many times. At Workday, we've made a lot of investment in this thing called a skills cloud. It basically brings out all of the different skills within the jobs that we've talked about. And it was mentioned before that it's really, really hard to write a job description now, because every day we're changing inside the company. So skills would be the unifying language, the supply and demand between people that are seeking jobs and companies that are looking for talent. So that would automatically, because of the skills that they might have on LinkedIn, be able to match with the jobs that a particular company is looking for in the people. So I'm not really good at closing presentations, but I might leave you guys with 2 questions that I ask you. As employees, would you continue to pivot? Would you continue to be aggressive? Would you continue to be innovative and ask for the help that you want from the people and the companies around you? As an employer, would you make the investments? Would you be able to invest in technology, invest in learning, invest in analytics, so that you're providing the people that you've hired, the people that you dearly love for so long, inside your own company? Would you be able to do that? Thank you.
네. 디지털 트랜스포메이션을 통해서 구성원 경험, 탤런트 모빌리티, 그리고 학습, 슈퍼잡 등의 변화 등에 대해서 말씀해 주신 것 같습니다. 네, 다음은 드라마인 컴퍼니의 최재우 님께서 발표를 해주시도록 하겠습니다. Shape the Future of HR in Asia라는 주제로 발표해 주십니다. 박수를 부탁드립니다.
네, 방금 소개받은 드라마인 컴퍼니 최재호입니다. 드라마인 컴퍼니의 이름이 좀 생소하실 수 있는데 리멤버라는 서비스를 개발하고 있는 회사이고요. 저는 그 회사의 파운더이자 CEO를 맡고 있습니다. 오늘은 저희가 아시아에서 저희가 HR 시장을 어떻게 혁신해 나가고자 하는지 그런 얘기들을 오늘 좀 나누고 싶어서 이 자리에 올라왔습니다. 리멤버라는 명함관리 서비스 아마 들어보신 적 있으신 분들 있으실 거라고 생각하시는데요. 혹시 리멤버라는 서비스를 지금 이용하고 계신 분들 있으시면 혹시 손 한번 들어봐 주실 수 있으실까요? 굉장히 많은 분들이 사용해주고 계신데 일단 감사하다는 말씀부터 드리겠습니다. 명함관리 서비스 하는 곳에서 왜 갑자기 HR 얘기하려고 하는 거야? 이런 의문을 가지실 수도 있을 것 같아요. 그래서 오늘 아마 그런 의문들을 좀 지워드릴 수 있지 않을까 이렇게 생각을 합니다. 제가 바라보는 HR 좀 더 좁게는 사실 오늘 채용에 대한 말씀들을 좀 드리려고 하고 있고요. 이 채용에 대해서 전체적인 어떤 메가 트렌드가 어떻게 되고 있다라고 우린 정의를 하고 있는지, 그리고 그 안에서 아시아에서 특히나 우리가 독특한 어프로치를 어떻게 이것들을 좀 혁신적으로 풀어 나가고자 하는지, 이런 얘기들을 오늘 좀 공유 드릴 수 있으면 좋을 것 같습니다. 저도 일선에서 많은 동료분들 계속 모시면서 채용이라는 것들을 다각도로 좀 고민도 해보고 있고 체감도 하고 있는데, 이 채용이라는 것들에 대한 메가 트렌드가 긴 세월을 놓고 보면 어떻게 변해왔을까라는 생각들을 한번 해봤어요. 저는 과거에 있었던 시대를 채용 1.0의 시대로 정의를 하고 싶은데, 아마 이런 모습들 보시면 너무 옛날 얘기 아니야 라고 생각되실 수 있겠으나, 사실 신문이나 여전히 찌라시에서 저런 아날로그 형태의 채용 공고도 여전히 아직까지도 활성화되어 있는 그런 상황이고, 물론 이런 부분들이 좀 더 디지털화가 많이 되어서 각 나라에는 그 나라를 대표하는 그런 채용 포털들이 많이 활성화되어 있는 그런 상황입니다. 그런데 이 채용 포털 중심의 이런 채용 1.0의 시대가 물론 지금도 여전히 일어나고는 있지만 몇 가지 한계점들을 가지고 있는 것들을 저희는 잘 이해하고 계실 겁니다. 첫 번째는 열심히 잡을 찾고 있는 이러한 적극적 구직자들 위한 플랫폼이 되고 마는 것이죠. 결국은 기업에서는 좋은 인재들을 찾아서 나서야 되는 그런 상황이 아닌, 결국은 공고를 올려놓고 좋은 사람들이 오기를 기다리고 있는 이런 상황인 것인데, 결국 여기에는 한 가지 문제점이 있습니다. 일단 적극적으로 잡을 알아보는 사람보다 잠재적으로 열심히 지금 알아보고 있지 않은 이런 사람들이 훨씬 더 풀은 더 많고요. 또 전체적으로 보았을 때 지금 잡을 알아보는 그런 적극적 구직자 대비 각 자리에서 좀 더 묵묵하게 일하면서 인정받고 계신 그런 잠재적 구직자분들이 좀 더 의미 있는 그런 프로페셔널인 경우들이 더 많다는 겁니다. 거기에 첫 번째 문제가 있고요. 두 번째는 또 이 잡들을 잘 찾으려고 하는 그 사람에게조차도 나에게 딱 맞는 포지션들 찾는 것이 굉장히 쉽지 않은 그런 모습이 과거 1.0의 시대라고 볼 수 있겠습니다. 결국 그러면 이제 어떻게 해야 될까요? 이제 찾아 나서야 되겠죠. 이미 우리는 이런 인재를 찾아 나서는 시대가 열려 있고 그 시대에 살고 있습니다. 저는 이거를 채용 2.0의 시대라고 부르고 싶은데요. 여기 프랭크도 와 계시지만 결국 이런 것들을 가능하게 해준 것이 바로 글로벌 6억 명이 사용하고 있는 링크드인이나 이런 플랫폼입니다. 그런데 안타깝게도 한편으로는 다행으로도 이 한국과 일본 이런 아시아 국가에서는 굉장히 링크드인이 제한적인 입지를 가지고 있습니다. Sorry, Frank. 결국 저는 거기에서 사업적 기회가 있다고 판단을 했고, 이것이 제가 창업을 하게 된 첫 번째 동기 이니셔티브가 되었습니다. 이 문제 의식을 가지고 왜 그렇게 되는 것일까라는 것들을 많이 생각을 해보게 되었는데요. 결국은 니즈는 동일할 것인데 이 솔루션이 혹시 이 아시아권 동양적 정세에 맞지 않는 것은 아닌가, 그럼 그걸 어떻게 풀어 나가야 되는 건가에 굉장히 집중을 해본 거죠. 결국은 이 링크드인이라는 이 거대하고 멋진 플랫폼에 이 훌륭한 프로페셔널 분들이 열심히 본인의 이력서들을 올려놓으셔야 되는데 왜 충분히 올려놓지 않는 것인가 라는 그런 반문을 하게 되었고, 그 원인은 결국은 문화적 차이가 가장 크다라는 그런 생각을 했습니다. 일단 기본적으로는 이 서양 대비는 열심히 잡을 찾는 이런 액티브 잡시커 분들보다 잠재적으로 그냥 잡을 기다리고 있는 이런 분들이 훨씬 더 많은 그런 문화적 차이가 일단 기인을 하고 있고요. 그 숫자 자체도 액티브 잡시커가 적은데 이 잠재적인 구직자들, 즉 이 패시브한 잡시커 분들은 열심히 이력서를 올려놓을 만한 그런 모티베이션이 충분하지가 않습니다. 그러니까 소위 얘기하는 대로 이 각 잡고 이력서 쓸 만한 그런 동기부여가 없는 거죠. 그렇다고 하면 좀 더 그걸 올려놓기 위한 허들이 굉장히 낮아야 되는데 그렇지도 않은 상황이었고, 또 하나의 굉장히 큰 이유는 여기 두 번째 써 있지만, 내가 여기에 프로필을 올려놓고 이력서를 등록해 놓았을 때 우리 회사에서는 내가 이직을 당장 준비하고 있는 사람인 것처럼 비춰지는 그런 심리적 부담, 불편함을 가질 수밖에 없기 때문에 그런 눈치 보임이 또 이런 공개되어 있는 프로필을 올려놓는 것에 대한 큰 어떤 저항감으로 작용하고 있다는 것들도 저희가 파악할 수가 있었습니다. 그러면 어떻게 해야 될까? 저희는 결국 이런 인재 풀들이 필요하고 그런 사람들을 모아야 되는데 이런 공개된 플랫폼 같은 것들을 만들어서는 결국은 등록하는 것이 굉장히 불편하다고 하니 어떻게 해야 되지? 라는 생각을 하다가, 지금 와서 보면 혁신적이라고 볼 수도 있고 그때로 생각해보면 엉뚱하다고도 볼 수 있는데, 명함관리 서비스를 생각을 했습니다. 결국 비즈니스맨들을 저희는 확보를 해야 되겠고, 이분들이 이 플랫폼 내에서 뭔가의 어떤 프로필이란 매개체를 가지고 활동할 수 있는 그런 서비스를 만들어서 일단 사용자들 모으고 이런 스태핑 스톤을 거쳐서 그 다음 길로 나아가야지 라는 생각을 하면서, 아시는 분들도 많이 계시겠지만 이 수기 입력이란 노가다 방법까지도 불사하면서 많은 유저분들을 모으고 사랑받는 서비스를 만들고 싶었습니다. 그렇게 2014년에 서비스를 런칭을 했고 지금 300만 명이 넘는 그런 사용자가 사용하는 대한민국에서는 비즈니스맨들이 사용하는 규모로는 가장 큰 그런 서비스가 되어 있습니다. 이제 이 정도 사용자들을 확보했으니 이제 그 다음은 이제 해야 되겠죠. 바로 그것 HR 서비스를 시작을 했습니다. 리멤버 커리어라는 서비스인데요. 오래된 서비스가 아닙니다. 아마 명함관리 서비스로는 많이 익숙하시겠지만 아직은 이 서비스가 익숙하지 않으실 수도 있겠는데요. 저희가 2019년 7월 15일 날 딱 3개월 조금 더 지난 그 시점에 저희가 이 서비스를 런칭을 했습니다. 그런데 생각하시는 것처럼 이미 많은 분들이 리멤버 유저시기도 하지만 이직에 관심이 있어서 사실 리멤버 쓰기 시작하신 게 아니잖아요. 뭔가 많이 주고받는 그 명함들 잘 관리하시고 인맥 관리하시려고 쓰신 거지 사실 커리어 관리하려고 쓰신 게 아니니까. 그래서 저희가 던진 메시지는 굉장히 명확했습니다. 당장 이직 생각이 없더라도 좋은 커리어 제안은 받아보세요 라는 메시지를 드린 거죠. 왜냐하면 리멤버를 쓰시는 분들은 굉장히 좋은 프로페셔널들이고 그와 동시에 잠재적인 구직자 분들이니까 이 강한 모티베이션이 없는 이분들을 어떻게 설득해서 이 인재풀에 등록하시게끔 할까. 그래서 단 몇 초 혹은 많게는 1분 정도 투자하시면 굉장히 좋은 커리어 제안들을 받아보실 수 있는데 해보시지 않겠냐라고 저희가 설득을 시작하게 된 거죠. 그렇게 했더니 이제 아직 3개월 남짓밖에 지나지 않은 이 시점인데도 불구하고 벌써 40만 명이 넘는 이런 인재풀들이 등록을 해주셨습니다. 단순히 규모의 성장세만 가파른 것이 아니고 사실 이 퀄리티도 굉장히 대단한데요. 결국 저희는 경력직들을 위한 그런 HR 솔루션을 지향하고 있기 때문에 그분들의 어떤 수준이나 이런 부분들도 굉장히 중요한데 이 사원급들 분들보다는 좀 더 경험이 많으신 분들이 더 많은 비중을 차지하고 있습니다. 이 사원급들의 비중은 5% 미만이고요. 대리급들 이상이 한 95% 정도 차지하고 있고 또 과장에서 부장급 정도 계시는 분들이 한 60% 이상, 또 대기업 임원분들도 벌써 한 2,000명 이상이 등록하실 정도로 굉장히 좋은 인재풀들과 함께 이 서비스를 같이 만들어 나갈 수 있겠다 이런 생각들 하고 있습니다. 이 등록된 인재분들을 검색할 수 있는 서비스는 이런 식으로 이제 생겨 있고요. 그래서 필요한 어떤 직무에 대한 키워드나 또 스킬셋에 대한 키워드 혹은 회사명 혹은 인더스트리 혹은 연차 이런 것들로 필요한 인재분들을 찾아보실 수 있고 또 그분들에 대한 상세한 이력들을 조금 확인해 보면서 이분들과 같이 한번 일해보고 싶다는 마음이 들 때는 채용 제안을 보내보면 그분들은 리멤버 앱에서 그런 이 제안 메시지를 받아보실 수 있는 그런 구조로 되어 있습니다. 벌써 4,000곳 이상의 기업들에서 이미 사용들을 시작하고 계시고요. 계속 끊임없이 많은 그런 채용 제안들이 이미 나가고 있고 리멤버 커리어를 통해서 더 나은 잡을 찾고 계신 분들의 스토리도 이어지고 있습니다. 이 리멤버 커리어가 뭐가 조금 다른 거냐, 뭐가 가장 차별점이길래 이런 지금 변화의 혁신들을 만들어내고 있는 것인가 라고 말씀을 드려보자면 첫 번째는 만천하에 나의 프로필이 다 공개되고 내가 이렇게 이직에 관심이 열려 있어요라는 것들이 드러나지 않게끔 하는 그러한 동양적 정서를 최대한 잘 이용을 했습니다. 그래서 딱 승인되어 있는 리크루터들, 그러니까 기업의 인사 담당자분들, 헤드헌터 분들에게만 이 계정들을 오픈해드리고 그분들만 검색할 수 있는 그런 폐쇄적 인재 검색 시스템을 저희가 도입을 했습니다. 그것이 첫 번째였고요. 두 번째는 바로 거기서 이어서 드시는 질문들이 있으실 거예요. 혹시 우리 회사 인사팀이 보면 어떡하지? 네, 그 부분도 확실하게 저희들은 다 컨트롤을 하고 있습니다. 그래서 지금 당장 리멤버를 쓰고 계시는 수많은 분들께서 본인의 프로필 정보를 올려놓더라도 소속한 그 회사 인사팀에서는 절대로 볼 수 없게끔 아예 다 막혀 있고요. 그거조차도 조금 걱정되시면 아예 등록하실 때 이 회사에서는 나를 못 보게 해주세요라고 설정하실 수도 있습니다. 사실 그런 부분들이 그렇게까지 해야 돼라는 그런 서양적 정서가 있을 수는 있겠으나 저희 동양적 정서에는 그런 것들이 굉장히 중요하지 않나라는 생각을 해서 그런 차별적인 어떤 접근 전략을 세워서 나가고 있습니다. 이미 명함 관리라는 한 단계 거쳐 나가는 방법으로 유저를 확보한 것도 조금 갸우뚱할 수 있는데 뭔가 이런 부분들에 대한 잡을 매칭하는 과정에서도 뭔가 굉장히 폐쇄적으로 접근한 이런 것들이 아마 저희가 아시아 정서에 맞게끔 좀 풀어 나가고 있는 그런 흥미로운 스토리라고 봐주시면 좋을 것 같습니다. 리멤버 커리어가 뭔가 계속 이런 것들을 만들어내고 있고 글로벌리 링크드인이 잘하고 있는 것처럼 한국에서도 이런 경력직 HR 솔루션으로서의 좋은 게임 체인저의 모습들을 갖추어 나가고 있는데 하지만 이런 2.0 채용의 시장에 있어서도 여전한 한계점들은 있다라고 생각을 하고 있습니다. 첫 번째로는 리크루터 분들의 수고가 굉장히 많이 필요한 상황이죠. 그래서 계속 이 안에서 인재분들을 검색하고 탐색하고 이해해보고 채용 제안을 보내보는 이런 일련의 과정들이 사실은 만만치가 않습니다. 그렇기 때문에 헤드헌터 분들께 그런 일들을 대행해서 요청을 드리는 것이기도 하고, 혹은 기존에 있는 인하우스 리크루팅 팀이 없는 경우에는 항상 그런 부분들을 직접 하기 되게 부담스러워하시는 그런 면들도 많이 보아왔습니다. 여전히 그런 문제점이 있는 형태가 이런 탤런트 서치 중심의 채용 2.0 시대라고 생각을 하고요. 또 하나는 이런 인재 검색 시대가 열렸다고 해서 어떤 구직자 입장에서 내가 원하는 잡을 바로바로 쉽게 딱 맞게 찾아볼 수 있는 그런 것들은 여전히 어려운 그런 상황이죠. 결국은 다가오는 미래 이 채용 3.0의 시대가 그걸 전 열어야 된다라고 굳게 믿고 있는데요. 결국은 오래 걸리지 않을 거라고 생각합니다. 결국은 단기적인 미래에 자동화된 매치메이킹을 결국 해내어서 그런 부분들을 다 풀어내야 된다고 생각을 하고 있고요. 그 매치메이킹은 결국은 이 탤런트 사이드와 이 잡 사이드 간의 매치메이킹을 말씀드리는 것일 거고, 단순히 나는 이러이러한 일을 할 수 있는 사람이다, 이러이러한 직무가 이런 지역에 공고가 나와 있네, 그냥 매칭해드리고 그런 정도의 단편적인 매칭이 아니고, 물론 그런 정도의 매칭도 아직까지 잘 우리나라에서 잘 되고 있지 않습니다만, 그 정도가 아닌 개개인이 어떤 쪽에 좀 더 선호를 가지고 있고 관심을 가지고 있고 이런 것들을 좀 더 많이 이해할 수 있는 그런 사이드, 이 잡적인 측면에서도 단순한 이러한 역할과 책임을 요구하는 이런 지역의 이런 인더스트리의 잡 이 정도가 아닌, 이런 직무를 했을 때 앞으로 어떤 그로스 포텐셜이 어느 정도 될 수 있고, 이 잡을 가지고 있는 그 회사의 컬처와 일하는 방식과 복리 후생과 여러 가지 것들이 다 맞물려 있는 그런 형태의 최적의 매치메이킹을 결국은 AI 기반으로 풀어내야 된다라고 굳게 믿고 있습니다. 결국은 채용 시장조차도 결국은 AI 기술이 앞으로는 모든 것들을 드라이브해 나갈 거라고 생각을 하고 있고요. 저희 리멤버도 저희가 가지고 있는 이런 빅데이터와 AI 기술력을 더욱더 고도화해서 이런 AI가 드리븐하는 채용 시장을 선도해 나가기 위한 많은 투자를 하고 있고 연구개발 활동들을 계속 지속해 나가고 있습니다. 결국 채용 잘 되면 뭐가 좋은 거야 라는 질문도 때로는 받았는데, 저는 우리나라 잘 되려면 채용 잘 돼야 됩니다라고 저는 굳게 믿고 있는 사람이거든요. 너무 많이 간 거 아니야 이렇게 느끼실 수도 있는데, 사실은 채용이 잘 되고 방금 말씀드린 그러한 아주 절묘한 매치메이킹이 잘 된다라고 한번 상상을 해보면, 각 구성원들이 내가 가장 날개를 달고 신나게 일할 수 있는 그곳에서 일을 할 수 있게끔 되는 것이고, 그럼 그 개인의 만족도를 넘어서 그 개인의 생산성, 그다음에 그 사람이 만들어내는 그런 퍼포먼스가 엄청 날 거라는 것들은 이미 말하지 않아도 잘 느끼시게 될 것 같습니다. 그러면 이러한 최적의 매치메이킹으로 기반한 그런 채용이라는 것이 단순한 개인의 행복, 만족을 넘어서서 그가 속해서 일하고 있는 그 조직의 엄청난 이 성장과 성공을 만들어낼 수 있고, 더 나아가서는 우리나라가 창출해내는 그런 부가가치까지도 모든 것들이 다 맞물려 있는 그런 얘기라고 생각하거든요. 그래서 저희는 단순한 이 채용 하나를 바라보는 그런 마음으로 이 일을 하고 있지 않고, 이 채용이라는 것들이 결국은 우리가 살고 있는 이 세상을 굉장히 더 행복하게 윤택하게 만들 것이라는 그런 믿음을 가지고, 그런 소명 의식을 가지고 일들을 해 나가고 있습니다. 리멤버가 지향하는, 제가 창업했을 때 이 만들었던 미션 스테이트먼트인데요. Connect the world by business cards, connect everyone to successful opportunities. 결국 명함으로 연결되는 세상, 성공적인 기회로 계속 이어질 수 있도록 저희들은 계속해서 발전시켜 나가려고 생각하고 있습니다. 결국 이런 프로페셔널들 계속 어떻게 하면 기회들을 계속 연결시켜 드릴 수 있지, 이런 고민들이고, 이런 프로페셔널 분들을 모으기 위한 방법으로 명함 관리 서비스라는 것들을 통해서 저희가 이 사용자분들을 모아왔고, 이 기회의 첫 번째 요소로 이 커리어에 대한 부분들 저희가 잘 풀어나가기 위한 시도들 이제 막 시작을 한 것 같습니다. 또 하나의 기회로는 이 네트워킹에 대한 니즈들을 저희가 잘 풀어드리기 위한 시도로서 리멤버 커뮤니티라는 서비스를 또 올 하반기부터 시작을 해서 클로즈 베타 테스트를 계속 진행을 하고 있고요. 또 리멤버 안에는 각계각층에서 활약하고 계시는 그런 분야별 전문가들이 많이 계신데, 그분들에게 더욱더 의미 있는 기회들 연결시켜드리기 위한 그런 서비스도 함께 준비를 해 나가고 있는 그런 중입니다. 프로페셔널 분들이 좀 더 나은 커리어를 가져가기 위한 그런 채용 시장의 혁신, 저희가 가지고 있는 이 빅데이터와 AI 기술력으로 앞으로 더 선도해 나가 보려고 하고 있고요. 더 많은 분들이 더 행복한 그런 내일을 꿈꿀 수 있도록 저희가 계속해서 더 발전되는 리멤버 모습을 보여드릴 수 있도록 하겠습니다. 네, 오늘 들어주셔서 고맙습니다.
네, 마지막 최재호 대표님의 발표까지 다 들어봤습니다. 그럼 이제 약 25분간 질의응답 시간을 가지도록 할 텐데요. 많은 분께서 이제 질문을 주셨습니다. 그럼 이제 좀 먼저 이제 각각의 분들한테 질문을 드리고 또 이제 모든 분들께 해당되는 공통 질문을 좀 드리도록 하겠습니다. 첫 번째 질문은 프랭크 쿠님에게 드리도록 하겠습니다. 네, 질문 나왔는데요. In our organization, we encourage internal growth rather than external hire, and there are pros and cons in terms of talent development. What do you reckon HR digitalization can help internal transfer smoothly?
Right, thanks. Very good question. And I totally believe in what Kevin talked about in internal talent mobility. A lot of times, especially in many organizations where you have many talented employees, right? And when there's a new role that requires new skill to be recruited. So the first question is, do you first of all consider internal employees or an external employees? Now, most HR, in traditional way, most people will look at the job description and say, oh, these are the skills that I need. We do not have this internally. We'll hire externally. But in this new world, the skills changes all the time. So are you going to continue to hire all the time? It's very difficult. At the same time, you have people who are able to develop themselves. So the right value proposition is really to look at what sort of skills, as I think Kevin mentioned about, instead of looking at roles, look at the skills. So for instance, we have this example where a company wants to hire data scientists, right? And they said, oh, there's nobody internally that can become a data scientist because this is a new role. I need to look externally. But when we use a LinkedIn analytics to analyze it by skills, we realize that there are about 10 core skills required for data scientists. And actually, about 15% of the employees has 6 or more of these 10 core skills. And therefore, the HR, the chief HR officer then have a different idea and say that actually, if I look at these 15% of employees with already the 6 skills, develop them on the other 3 or 4, they can be very good data scientists. So again, digitalization is able to help, number one, surface out people internally that will be able to move on to the new role. And secondly, with the understanding of the skills gap amongst internal people, you can then apply the right kind of development programs. So I would say that it's a combination of really the analytics or AI that allows you to look internally as well as the development effort that you have with the employee. The reality is, if a company is focused on developing internal people, then employees will become more motivated. They will want to stay in the company. They want to contribute to the company because they see their friends getting a role that they are engaged in. They will want to work harder. So I'm very supportive. Even though LinkedIn, now we are no more a hiring platform. We are a professional media platform that helps people to get jobs, yes, but to be able to learn and develop themselves and be able to feel more engaged working in a company. So I'm all for internal development of people. And I think digitalization can definitely help in this area.
Okay, thank you. 다음 질문은 케빈 추님께 드리도록 하겠습니다. 네, you said that there will be many changes in jobs, newborn or disappeared. What about HR? Do you think that the HR will be changed or disappeared? If changes, what should we prepare for the future?
All right, so many job changes in HR. Okay, so I think the sole existence of companies, HR, HCM companies like Workday, is the ability for for us to help the HR so that they no longer have to get people to manually enter the CV into the system. They don't have to manually go out and talk to a particular job advertisement company. They no longer have to do all the manual, boring works that existed in maybe the 70s, 80s era. So what the HR will then transform into is to help build the brand, help build the culture, help make strategic decisions with the CFO and the CEO and the CIO on what next to invest in. Am I investing in a company or a solution like Remember? Are we investing in a partnership with LinkedIn? Like, those are the different types of things that HR will be doing. It's changing it from the back office, really bringing the CHRO to the front office. Because then you guys actually represent the brand. You guys are actually the people that are attracting the outside talent. Of course, we're going to, we're a strong believer of, we've hired a lot of the people on the bus, on the right bus, and then we as a team will decide where the bus will actually go. Right? This is a quote from a book that I've actually read, but the HR will then be able to design on the outside of the bus what the bus actually looks like. All the nice, funky things on the outside, the color, the spray paint, all those things. The HR will be in charge of that, the company, the brand, and the name of the company itself.
Okay, thank you. 다음 질문은 최재호 대표님께 드리도록 하겠습니다. 리멤버 커리어에 등록된 인재풀의 퀄리티가 좋다고 하시면서 직급들을 말씀하셨는데 스킬이나 능력이 아니라 단순히 직급이 좋은 퀄리티를 보장하는 건 아니지 않을까요? 또한 등록된 풀 내에서 남녀 비율이나 연령대, 배경 등 다양성이 반영되고 있는지 말씀해 주실 수 있는지 궁금합니다.
네, 사실 그 퀄리티가 직급과 매핑이 되지 않죠. 그래서 뭐 과장급이 꼭 대리급보다 낫다 뭐 이렇게 말할 수도 없고 그래서 뭐 그건 아닌데 저희가 다른 어떤 채용 포털들 중심에 등록되어 있는 인재 풀들 대비 저희가 원체 더 시니어리티가 있어서 아무래도 1, 2년 정도 일한 이런 분들 혹은 취준생 이런 급보다는 아무래도 일을 몇 년 하신 분들이 낫다라는 측면에서 말씀드리긴 했습니다. 그래서 뭐 직급이나 연차가 꼭 그거의 퀄리티를 담보하진 않는데 하나의 그냥 에스펙트로 그냥 말씀드렸다고 봐주시면 좋을 것 같고요. 그 다음에 등록된 풀을 저희가 어떤 가이던스를 가지고 저희가 지금 소싱하고 있는 부분들이 아니어서 당연히 다양성들을 많이 열어놓고 있는데 한 가지 저희가 조금 더 남성 비율이 좀 더 높은 형태로 지금은 유입이 되고 있는 것 같아요. 왜냐하면 저희가 리멤버라는 서비스 자체가 이 사람을 많이 만나는 쪽에 노출되어 있는 분들이 더 많이 쓰고 있는 그런 부분들이 있다 보니까 아무래도 그런 부분들이 조금 있는 것 같고요. 근데 그거 외에는 저희가 지금 일단 경력직 중에 좋은 경력들을 가지고 계신 분들 중심으로 저희가 더 시작을 하려고 하고 있고 차츰 더 이제 주니어 혹은 신입 이런 쪽으로 내려갈 수는 있겠으나 거기서 시작해서 올라오는 게 쉽지 않다라고 판단해서 하고 있다 보니 아무래도 좀 등록되시는 분들의 퀄리티보다는 그 시니어리티가 좀 더 위에 계신 분들이 더 많이 있는 그런 상황입니다. 죄송합니다.
그러면은 모든 분들께 드리는 질문으로 넘어가 보도록 하겠습니다. 먼저 프랭크부터 시작하도록 하겠습니다. If we digitalize HR, we can assume some of global mobility barriers get broken down. What can young Koreans do to prepare better themselves for a global digital career?
All right, thanks. First of all, have a profile on LinkedIn. Because you know, whether it's remember LinkedIn, of course, LinkedIn you need to have more information about your background. People will look for you. Jobs will look for you. You don't have to look for jobs. Secondly, be more active in the professional media. Say, for instance, we would make recommendation, not just based on your profile, right? Your skills, your experience, your job, your previous jobs, which projects you have done, and so on. Not just that. If you, on LinkedIn, if you access content on digital marketing, the data will be used to make recommendation. If you finish a course, you have a badge on your profile, this data will be used to make a recommendation. If you are connected to people in the company whom you want to work for, this information will be used to make a recommendation to you as well as the employer. So every activity on the platform becomes a data. And with our AI engine, we will be able to make the recommendations for you as well as the employer so that you can have a better match. So I would encourage you to have your profile and interact on this. Again, I said we are no more just a job platform. We are a professional platform. So most of the people who go on LinkedIn, first of all, go there and search and research on other people. Right. Secondly, to connect with other people. And thirdly, to learn and then also to develop their career. So once you've done that, you will be able to have access to the enormous amounts of opportunity. At the same time, in LinkedIn, we also have like what Remember says, we have in the setting you can have open to opportunities as well. You can set open, then people will know that open. There's also already option for you to ask you whether you want to be a coach to other people in the platform or you want to be coached by other people. You put either you want to be a coach or to be coached, people can then link up with you. We can make the recommendation between coaching, the coach as well as the people who want to be coached. So it's a platform that you can use to develop your career, whether locally, internationally. In fact, some companies use LinkedIn for internal mobility because let's say they have a role in Korea, they can't find someone in the company in Korea, they use the LinkedIn platform and realize that in the same company, there's someone in Malaysia, for instance, who has this requirement. They can actually use this platform for LinkedIn for internal mobility as well. So I would encourage you have not to go into LinkedIn, set up your profile, and experience it.
Kevin, can you answer?
Sure. We have a little bit of trouble in the monitor. So I think that's right. First of all, be open-minded. You really have to think about being open to new skills, new developments, and don't be shy about asking those questions. I think in Korea or in Hong Kong or in China especially, it's the usual case where if I'm showing too much of an ambition, it might be bad for you in Asia. Well, I think being open to liking different topics. I mean, if you were on LinkedIn, I have a profile on LinkedIn. We've connected. And he's probably going to be my coach. But it's about getting into a habit of that lifelong learning that we've been talking about all through the last 2 days, a habit of actually going into learning about different new technologies. Just because you're in a particular role now doesn't mean you can't develop different skills that are adjacent to what you do now to enable that growth in the future, to enable that global mobility in the future. I was speaking to a gentleman that was helping us when we were walking back to the stage today. He's 23, he's into media and movies, right? This is his part-time job. But he's connected with me via my name card. I know his skills. He's told me what his aspirations are. Being open-minded enough to tell people about what you want to do in the future. Because if you don't, you're just going to follow by that single dimension of career path that's in the current role that you have. We at Workday encourage you to put all your interests into Workday, all your interests onto LinkedIn if you like, and be able to show people you have that open mind to be part of that bus steering in the right direction.
네, 최지호 대표님.
네. 그 프랭크가 링크드인 프로필 등록하라고 할 때 바로 제가 반박을 했어야 되는데 이게 글로벌 얘기가 나오니까 당장 하기가 쉽지가 않았네요. 네. 다만 저희가 일본에서도 이제 사업을 같이 진행하고 있고 서비스가 있기 때문에 일본 쪽으로 취업하고 싶으시면 저희가 좀 더 유리할 수도 있습니다. 네. 글로벌한 부분들은 저희도 점점 계속 만들어 나가야 될 것 같고요. 일단 그 어떤 글로벌한 익스포저가 좀 더 되고 싶으시고 또 뭔가 그 어떤 걸 준비해야 될지에 대해서는 사실 이미 그런 커리어 패스를 갖고 있는 누군가에게 가서 물어보면 제일 좋을 텐데 그런 기회가 모두에게 주어지지 않을 거니까 결국 저희 같은 플랫폼이 해야 될 일들은 결국은 그런 커리어 디벨롭먼트 관점 인사이트를 저희가 제공해야 되는데 결국은 뒷단에서 저희가 가지고 있는 그런 소셜 그래프들을 잘 분석을 해서 예를 들면 한국에서 잡을 처음에 커리어를 시작을 했다가 예를 들면 미국 실리콘밸리로 가서 뭔가 엔지니어링을 하고 있는 그런 사람들의 공통적인 그런 커리어 패스에서 나오는 공통적인 부분들을 가지고 이런 부분들에 대한 스킬셋이나 이런 준비들을 많이 하시면 또 좋을 것 같다. 혹은 이러이러한 성향을 갖고 계신 분들은 이런 컬처에서 굉장히 적응하기 용이하더라. 이런 부분들에 대한 것들을 저희가 잘 가공해서 인사이트화하고 잘 전달해 드리는 게 저희 같은 플랫폼의 역할이라고 생각을 하고 있습니다. 그래서 향후에 매치메이킹을 하기 위한 그런 AI 분석, 빅데이터 분석을 하는 그런 것들도 방금 말씀드린 이런 예시가 다 포함되어 있거든요. 그래서 그런 부분들 잘 준비를 해서 향후에는 한 명 한 명 본인의 네트워크에 기반해서 그런 조언을 구하는 정도로 사람마다 차별점이 있는 것이 아니라 그냥 공통적인 그런 인사이트들 많이 쉐어될 수 있는 그런 환경을 만들어 보겠습니다.
네. 마지막 질문입니다. 지금 시스템 나왔는데요. 현업에서 맞이하는 HR의 디지털화는 비용 절감으로 와닿습니다. 인격이 중시되고 지속 가능한 사회를 만드는데 HR 애널리틱스와 HR 디지털라이제이션이 줄 수 있는 사회 가치는 무엇일까요? 네, 이 질문에는 먼저 케빈부터 답해 주시면 좋을 것 같습니다.
So I think there were different levels of digitalization for HR. Right. The first level is really about keeping the lights on. That your process is automated. That you do when you want to apply leave, you do not need to have a paper. Pass to your boss. Your boss forgets about it. He doesn't know whether you're applying leave or not. So automation is first level, right? And obviously, Workday has done a great job in automating this process, right? And of course, then you make sure that your payroll is done. You get your pay at the end of the month. You are able to have expense claim. These are the first level. And the second level is really about having the ability to ensure talent management. So how do we hire the best talents? Using automation, like what Remember is doing and what LinkedIn is doing. How do we enable them to be able to do well by understanding what sort of skills the company needs in 3 years' time, 5 years' time, and developing the people? How do we know whether they're happy or not with the job, with the company, through the online survey and action plan? So this is what we call talent management. So from HR automation to talent management. The third area is really using analytics and artificial intelligence to actually support the best decision. So once you're able to do that, we would actually make a very big change. We will be able to have people who are more aligned with the company's culture to be able to join the company, because we can match culture with purpose. At the same time, we're able to have people to go to the next job. If they're in a job for 3 years, they have the 6 out of 10 skills, we can actually get them to go to the next job that they like to do. Otherwise, they feel bored. Thirdly, we are able to enable people to be happier, because organizations with information transparency, every professional can find the best company that fits them they want to work for. Every company can find the best people who would like to join the company and be successful. Now, if you're able to do this, I think digitalization in the HR area will drive a very significant change in enabling sustainability of work, happiness in doing the work, and at the same time, focus on ensuring human dignity and ability to do the best. And this is really our dream, right? Because this is the ultimate goal. If you are able to do that effectively with technology and with people working on technology, then I think we would have reached our ultimate goal of making all of us here very happy doing what we are doing.
Okay, Kevin.
Yeah, I might add a little bit. I think a few of those points really initiated some thoughts for me. I think that first level of automation is something that we've probably gone through and done. I think what's important is it gives that HR people, the manager level people, that second level of ease of use, right? When, for example, when you're taking leave, to have a system that tells you who else in that particular team are on leave, or who else with the same skills are actually on leave on your team. You might have a hierarchy of 70 to 100 people. We have plenty of conglomerates in Korea. So how can you plan those out? How can you make sure that all of the projects and strategies that the company is trying to do doesn't get affected because people are trying to take leave? But you can't stop them from taking leave, right? So you've got to have the different surveys that are coming here in terms of analyzing how happy they are, like Frank said. And from that, automatically recommend the managers go and do their learning. They have to go and think about and read about what they're supposed to do to keep their employees happy, because it's not just about the employee level. The managers are also employees. The managers also need to have the tools to be able to keep their employees happy. So it's like layer by layer, like Frank said, but also in a vertical sense where that whole tree of people need to be able to enjoy the HR digitization era right now. And that analytics piece is extra important when I see a lot of people have a system for recruiting, a system for compensation, a system for all these separate things. And it's hard for them to bring all this data and all the analytics together because it takes time. Whereas if you had a platform where everything is in the same place, you can have the data at a switch of a hand when you turn on your laptop or your iPad. That's the important things. We have an issue. We had a QBR. We had a meeting about the people. You pull out the iPad and you share it amongst all the executives. You can make that decision on the spot. Whereas in the previous era, you probably couldn't do so. So I think that part of the analytics and the digitalization would be that next level that all HR and all companies should reach.
네, 저는 HR 중에 이제 제가 얘기 드렸던 채용으로 좀 좁혀서 말씀드려야 될 것 같은데요. 결국은 이 코스트와 밸류 두 가지를 놓고 얘기했을 때 똑같은 밸류를 만들어내는 그런 채용인데 코스트를 그냥 줄이는 거냐, 그래서 좀 더 효율화시키고 생산성 높이고 그런 거냐라고 반문하면 그렇지 않은 게임이라고 저는 말씀을 드리고 싶어요. 그러니까 똑같은 인재를 뽑아올 수 있는 똑같은 가치를 얻기 위한 효율화와 돈을 아끼고 생산성 이런 정도 얘기가 아니고, 사실 과거 대비 못 모셔올 수 있었던 그런 좋은 인재를 모셔올 수 있는 일, 혹은 꼭 좀 더 퀄리파이드 된 인재 얘기보다 더 나아가서 가장 우리 회사의 그 포지션에 가장 적합한 옷을 입을 수 있는 그런 사람을 찾을 수 있는 일. 그래서 물론 코스트도 좀 더 줄여서 투입되는 리소스도 줄이고 돈도 줄이고 이렇게 하는 것들도 당연히 가능한 길로 가는 것이 디지털라이제이션이겠지만, 이보다 더 큰 가치는 사실 이 코스트보다는 가장 우리 회사의 퍼포먼스를 높여줄 수 있는 그런 사람들을 못 모시다가 모셔올 수 있는, 더 나은 사람들을 모셔올 수 있는 그런 밸류 크리에이션에, 밸류 에디션에 더 큰 가치가 있다라고 저희는 채용에 대해서 바라보고 있고요. 그렇게 생각해 주셨으면 어떨까 생각합니다.
네, 지금까지 이제 연사님들의 말씀을 들었는데요. 지금 단순히 디지털 기술이 HR에 이제 일어나는 변화뿐만 아니라 미래에도 또 어떤 변화를 이끌지까지 인사이트를 얻어가셨으면 좋겠습니다. 여기 참석해주신 뭐 기업이나 정부 관계자분들, 아니면 뭐 HR 실무자분들, 또 구직자분들, 학생분들 각자의 입장에서 이 디지털화가 이끄는 HR 분야에서 어떤 것을 준비해 나가야 될지 좀 하나씩 생각해보고 가시면 좀 의미 있는 시간이 더 될 것 같습니다. 긴 시간까지 자리를 지켜주셔서 감사하고, 이제 연사님들께 마지막으로 박수 한번 부탁드리겠습니다. 감사합니다.